The desert evening glowed with soft orange light as the sun slowly sank behind the wide horizon. Maria walked quickly along the lonely dirt path, holding her shawl close because the wind felt sharp and cold. Her steps were light, but filled with fear, as if the ground itself might betray her. For hours she had been moving from one shadow to another. Trying to stay unseen, she kept whispering to herself, "I'm not who they believe," because she hoped the words would give her strength. But deep inside, she knew the truth. Someone dangerous was already searching for her. Far behind her, a low rumble rose from the quiet land. At first, she prayed it was thunder. But the sky was clear, and she wished it was a wagon. But the sound was too steady. When she finally realized what it was, her heart dropped, hoofbeats. Fast, strong, and many, the Apache were coming. Maria's breath caught as fear rushed through her. She pushed her tired legs to move faster even though they ached. The desert sky grew darker, and the first stars appeared overhead. Shining like cold, watchful eyes, she slipped behind a large boulder and pressed her back against it. Trying to stay quiet, her hands shook as she tried to slow her breathing. For one small moment, she dared to hope she was far enough. But then the hoofbeats became louder and clearer. They were close, too close. On the high ridge above the valley, a tall figure appeared. Outlined against the last light of the sunset, he sat on a strong, painted horse, steady and confident. The feathers in his long dark hair moved with the wind. His name was Kosa, an Apache warrior known for his sharp senses and calm strength. People said he could find a trail even in the dark. And Maria understood now that those stories were true. Kosa lifted his hand, and the riders behind him stopped at once. Silence fell across the land, heavy and tense. His eyes scanned the valley like he could see every hidden corner. Maria covered her mouth with her hand, praying he would ride away, but Kosa did not move on. His voice carried through the stillness, calm but certain. "Come out," he said. "Running will not help you." Maria froze, her mind raced, trying to decide if she should flee again or surrender. But before she could move, Kosa nudged his horse forward and began riding down the slope toward her hiding place. The other Apache riders followed him quietly, their expressions unreadable. Maria understood that hiding was useless now. Kosa had found her, just like she feared he would. She stepped out slowly from behind the boulder. Her hands trembling as she raised them, Kosa stopped in front of her, his horse standing calmly while he studied her face. His voice was low, steady, and serious. "You knew I would come," he said. Maria looked down at the ground, her throat tight. "I told you already," she whispered. "I'm not who you believe." Kosa watched her without blinking. He dismounted his horse with slow, controlled movements and walked toward her. The other warriors stayed behind him, silent but alert. Maria lifted her chin because she needed him to understand. Even if her truth did not save her, "I'm not the woman they want," she said softly. "I never was." For a long moment, Kosa said nothing. His eyes stayed locked on hers, unreadable and calm. Finally he spoke, and his words struck her like a sudden wind. "I know," he said, "and I still came for you." Maria stared at him, confusion mixing with fear. The wind paused as if the world was waiting to hear more. Her voice shook as she whispered, "Why?" Kosa stepped closer, lowering his voice as if it was meant only for her. "Because your truth is different from your name," he said, "but you still must come with me." Maria felt a heavy weight settle in her chest. She did not understand what he wanted from her or what would happen next. All she knew was that her journey had changed, and she could not turn back. Kosa lifted his hand, and the warriors formed a loose circle around them. They were not cruel, but they left no room for escape. Maria exhaled slowly and nodded. She did not know what waited for her in the Apache camp. But she had no choice now, as Kosa guided her toward his horse. Maria whispered again, barely a breath, "I'm not who you believe," but Kosa already knew, and he still took her anyway. Night slowly covered the desert as Kosa led Maria through the narrow mountain pass. A thin moon hung above them, casting pale silver light that touched the land like a quiet secret. Maria walked beside his horse, her wrists loosely bound with a soft leather cord. Not tight enough to hurt, but firm enough to show she was not free. She kept her eyes on the ground, afraid to look at the warrior who had captured her yet strangely protected her at the same time. Her heart beat fast with every step, not only from fear, but from confusion. Why would he take her if he already knew she wasn't the woman his people wanted? What did he plan to do with her? The Apache riders behind them rode in calm silence. They did not mock her or shout at her. They watched her with steady eyes, as if they were trying to read her soul instead of her face. That silence made her even more nervous. It felt like they knew something she didn't understand yet. Kosa finally spoke after a long time. His voice soft but firm. "You ran all day," he said. "Few people can survive this desert the way you did." Maria didn't know if his words were praise or warning, so she stayed quiet. Kosa glanced down at her with the corner of his eye. "You're strong," he added. "Stronger than the name they gave you." Maria felt her throat tighten. She wanted to ask him what he meant, but her fear kept the words trapped inside. After a moment, she forced herself to speak. "You said you know I'm not the one your people look for," she whispered. "Then why take me?" Kosa didn't answer at first. He slowed his horse and walked beside her, matching her pace. His steps were steady, confident, almost comforting. Finally, he said, "Because truth is rarely simple." Maria looked up at him. Confused, "What truth?" she asked. "I have no secret." Kosa met her eyes, and his calm expression shifted just a little. "You do?" he said. "You hide it even from yourself." Maria stopped walking for a second, shocked by his words. Kosa did not pull her or push her, he simply waited. His patience was more unsettling than anger would have been. She lowered her gaze again and walked forward. "I only hid my name," she said quietly. "Nothing more." Kosa shook his head. "You hid more than a name," he replied. "You hid a piece of your spirit." His words struck her deeper than she expected. She didn't know why they felt so heavy. She didn't know how he saw through her so easily. They reached a higher part of the trail, where the land opened into a wide view of the valley below. The moonlight turned the rocks silver and the shadows deep. Kosa halted his horse and motioned for the riders to stop. The Apache warriors spread out, giving them space. Kosa turned to Maria, his face serious now. "Tell me what you fear," he said. Maria wrapped her arms around herself. She wanted to lie again, to protect herself the way she always had. But something about Kosa made lying feel useless. Still, she hesitated. "If I tell you," she whispered, "will you let me go?" Kosa's eyes softened, but his voice stayed firm. "No," he said, "but I will understand you." Maria felt tears sting her eyes. She hated feeling weak in front of him. She hated how he seemed to see everything she tried to hide. After a long silence, she spoke, her voice shaking. "I fear what your people think I am," she said. "I fear what they will do if they believe the wrong story." Kosa listened without interrupting. "What story?" he asked gently. Maria looked at the ground and whispered. "They think I betrayed them," she said. "They think I stole from them." Kosa stepped closer. "Did you?" he asked. Maria shook her head quickly. "No," she said, "but someone wanted me blamed, and I ran before they could catch me." The wind brushed past them like a soft breath. Kosa studied her face for a long, careful moment. "You are right to fear lies," he said. "They can destroy a life." Maria felt her chest ache with the truth of his words. Kosa untied the soft cord around her wrists, but did not step away. "You are not a prisoner," he said. "You are under my protection." Maria blinked in confusion. "Why?" she whispered again. Kosa looked toward the moonlit valley and spoke quietly. "Because someone wanted you blamed," he said. "And someone wanted you found?" Maria's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" she asked. Kosa looked at her with steady, calm eyes. "I was told to bring back the guilty woman," he said. "But I came for the innocent one." Maria felt the world tilt around her. He had known all along. He hadn't taken her by mistake. He had chosen her. As the riders prepared to move again, Kosa gestured for her to walk beside him. Not behind, Maria stepped forward slowly, unsure of what fate awaited her. But one thing was clear. Kosa wasn't hunting her. He was protecting her for a reason she still didn't understand. The Apache camp appeared like a ring of glowing embers in the distance as Maria and the riders moved through the dark valley. Torches burned softly, and the sound of low drums floated gently through the cold night air. Maria's heart tightened with every step she took. Because she had no idea what waited for her inside that circle of firelight, she walked beside Kosa, feeling the weight of many eyes turning toward her from afar. She wondered what these people had been told. What stories were already whispered about her? She wondered if she would survive the night. As they entered the camp, the warriors dismounted, one by one. Women carrying water stopped and stared. Children paused their games and hid behind their mothers. Watching Maria with wide, curious eyes, Maria lowered her head, wishing for a moment that she could disappear into the shadows. But the circle of firelight felt like a place where nothing could hide. Not even the truth she carried inside her. Kosa placed a hand on her shoulder, guiding her toward the center of the camp. His touch wasn't rough, but it was firm, like he wanted her to know she didn't have to walk alone. Maria didn't know whether to feel comforted or more afraid. The Apache elders sat near the main fire, their faces calm but unreadable. An old woman with silver hair and a sharp gaze stepped forward. Her eyes moved over Maria carefully, studying her in a way that made Maria's breath catch. This woman saw everything, even the things Maria wished to hide. Kosa spoke first, his voice steady and respectful. "I brought the woman," he said, "but she is not who they claimed." The elders exchanged glances, and the fire cracked softly between them. The silver-haired woman stepped closer to Maria. "What is your name?" she asked. Maria hesitated, wondering which name she should give, the one she had used to hide or the one she had abandoned. Kosa's voice reached her quietly. "Speak your true name," he said. Maria inhaled slowly. "My name is Maria Elena Reyes," she answered, her voice trembling but honest. The old woman nodded, as if the truth matched something she already knew. She touched Maria's cheek gently, surprising her. "You carry fear?" The woman said, "But you also carry innocence." Maria felt tears rise in her eyes, but she blinked them back. Another elder leaned forward, his voice rough but calm. "Why were you running?" he asked. Maria took a shaky breath. "Because someone wanted me blamed," she said. "Someone told lies about me." The camp grew quiet. Only the crackling fire spoke in the silence. Kosa stepped beside her, his presence steady and strong. He looked at the elders. "She did not steal from them," he said. "She did not betray them." An elder narrowed his eyes. "How do you know?" he asked. Kosa met his gaze without flinching. "I found no guilt in her spirit," he said, "only fear and truth." Maria felt the weight of those words settle deep inside her. She didn't understand how he could see her so clearly. She didn't understand why he cared. The silver-haired woman nodded softly. "Kosa sees what others do not," she said. His eyes watched the heart, not the shadow. Maria felt her cheeks warm, unsure how to react to such words. Another warrior stepped forward. "Younger and sharper? What if she lies?" he said. "What if she hides her real crime?" Maria stiffened. She knew she needed to speak her truth now, before fear swallowed her voice. She stepped forward timidly. "I worked for a trading family," she said. "I counted their money. I managed their records." She swallowed hard, feeling her voice shake. "One night someone stole a large sum," she continued, "and before I could explain, a man blamed me." "Who?" an elder asked. Maria closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the face she wanted to forget. "His name was Rowan," she whispered. "He wanted me gone, so he told the others. I took the money." The elders exchanged quiet murmurs. A few warriors frowned as if the name was familiar. Kosa watched her carefully. "There is more," he said softly, as if he could sense the rest of her truth. Maria nodded slowly, her voice barely a breath. "He wanted to marry me," she said when I refused. "He made me the enemy." A heavy silence filled the camp. This time, the fire felt hotter, the air thicker. The silver-haired woman touched Maria's hands gently. "You carry pain," she said, "but pain is not guilt." Maria felt her knees weaken, relief mixing with sorrow. Kosa stepped closer as if ready to catch her if she fell. His voice was calm. "She speaks truth," he said. "I saw it in her the moment I found her. The elders nodded, their expressions softer now. One of them pointed to a small tent near the fire. "Rest there," he said. "You are safe tonight." Maria looked at Kosa, confused. "Safe," she whispered. Kosa nodded. "As long as you stay under my protection," he said. "No lie can harm you here." Maria walked toward the tent slowly, feeling the weight of the night settle around her. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. She didn't know if her truth would save her or destroy her. But for the first time in many days, she felt a small spark of hope, and she didn't know why. But that hope began with the calm, dark eyes of the warrior who had taken her, and seen the truth she hadn't dared to admit. The morning sun rose slowly over the Apache camp, casting warm gold light across the earth. Maria stepped out of the small tent they had given her, blinking against the soft glow. She hadn't slept much, but for the first time in days she hadn't slept in fear. The quiet around her felt strange, comforting, and unfamiliar at the same time. The camp was waking up, women tending fires, men sharpening tools, children running through the dust with laughter. Maria watched them, surprised at how peaceful everything looked. She had expected anger, suspicion, harsh treatment, but instead she found calm faces and gentle curiosity. It confused her more than hostility would have. She spotted Kosa standing near the horses. Feeding one of them from his hand, he looked different in the daylight. Not just fierce, but thoughtful, almost gentle. His calm presence seemed to steady everything around him. Maria hesitated, then walked toward him slowly. Kosa looked up as she approached. "You rested," he said, his tone not a question, but an observation. Maria nodded. "Yes," she answered softly. "Thank you for the tent." Kosa fed the horse another handful of grain. His eyes steady on hers. "You needed rest," he replied. "Your spirit was heavy yesterday." Maria lowered her gaze. "My spirit is always heavy," she said quietly. Kosa shook his head. "Not always," he said. "Only when you carry burdens that are not yours." His words settled inside her like a stone dropped into water. She didn't know how he always managed to say things that struck straight to her core. She wanted to ask him why he cared so much, but fear held her back. After a moment she whispered, "You protected me in front of your elders." Kosa shrugged as if it was nothing. "You spoke truth," he said. "It is my duty to protect truth." Maria studied his face carefully. His expression was calm, but his eyes carried something deeper, something she couldn't name. "Is that the only reason?" she asked softly. Kosa paused, then looked at her with a gaze that felt too direct. "Too honest, no," he said. "It is not the only reason." Maria's breath caught. "What other reason?" she asked, her voice barely steady. Kosa didn't answer right away. He looked toward the mountains as if searching for the right words. "Some people are meant to cross our path," he said, "even when we don't expect them." He glanced back at her. "You are one of those people." Maria felt warmth rise in her chest. Mixed with confusion, "Why me?" she whispered. Kosa stepped a little closer, just enough to lower his voice. "Because you hide your strength under fear," he said, "and strength that hides can be dangerous." Maria took a step back, startled by the way his words hit her. "Dangerous to who?" she asked. Kosa studied her face slowly. "To those who lied about you," he said, "and to those who want to use you." Before Maria could respond, a sharp whistle echoed across the camp. A young warrior ran toward Kosa. "Breathing hard, Kosa," he said. "A rider approaches from the south." Kosa straightened, his calm shifting into alert focus. "Who?" he asked. The young warrior shook his head. "We do not know," he said, "but he carries a message." Maria felt her stomach twist. A message for who? Kosa turned to her. His eyes serious now. "Stay near the tent." He said, "Do not move until I return." Maria nodded quickly, fear creeping back into her chest. Kosa and several warriors headed toward the edge of the camp. Maria watched from behind her tent, her hands trembling. A single rider approached slowly. Holding a small leather pouch, he handed it to Kosa, said a few words, then rode away as silently as he came. Maria couldn't see the message, but she could see Kosa's face change. Not with anger, not with shock, but with something darker, something controlled and heavy. He closed the pouch tightly, then walked back toward the camp with long, determined steps. The warriors beside him exchanged tense glances, realizing something serious had just shifted. Maria stepped forward nervously. "Kosa," she said. "What happened?" He stopped in front of her, his expression unreadable. "The message is about you," he said. Maria felt her knees weaken. "What does it say?" she whispered. Kosa held the pouch at his side, his voice quiet but firm. "Someone is coming for you," he said. "Someone who does not want the truth to survive." Maria's breath rattled out of her chest. "Who?" she asked, panic rising inside her. Kosa looked into her eyes with a seriousness she had never seen from him before. "Rowan," he said, "and he is closer than you think." The moment Kosa spoke Rowan's name, something inside Maria felt like it cracked open. Fear rushed through her chest like cold water. Her hands trembled as she clutched her shawl, unable to steady her breath. She had prayed she would never hear that name again, yet here it was. Carried across the desert in a message meant for a warrior who barely knew her. Kosa watched her carefully. He didn't move closer, but his presence felt like a shield anyway. Maria tried to speak, but her voice shook. "Rowan is coming here," she whispered. Kosa nodded once, slow and steady. "Yes," he said. "He rides with purpose." Maria felt dizzy. She remembered Rowan's angry eyes, his sharp words, his threats that grew louder each time she refused him. She remembered the night she ran from the trading house, the lies he spread behind her, the way he chased her as if she was property he lost. She had hoped the desert would swallow her tracks, but Rowan always found a way to twist fate in his favor. She wrapped her arms around herself. "He won't stop," she said softly. "He wants to punish me for saying no." Kosa's eyes filled with a slow-burning anger. Not aimed at her, but at the man chasing her. "He wants more than punishment," Kosa said. "He wants to erase your truth." Maria swallowed hard. "Why did he send a message?" she asked. "Why warn you?" Kosa exhaled through his nose, his jaw tightening. "It was not Rowan who sent it," he said. "It came from someone who saw him on the trail." Maria blinked. Confused, "Someone warned you," she whispered. "Yes," Kosa said. "Someone who wishes you to live." Before Maria could ask more, an elder approached them slowly. He was tall and thin, his long braids tied with small beads. His voice was quiet, yet it carried the weight of wisdom. "Kosa," he said, "if the man comes for her, he will bring trouble." Kosa nodded. "I know," he replied. The elder shifted his gaze to Maria. "You bring danger, but not by choice," he said gently. "Your truth travels ahead of you." Maria lowered her head, guilt pressing against her ribs. "I never meant to bring trouble," she whispered. The elder smiled faintly. "Trouble chooses people with light in their hearts," he said. "Darkness always tries to chase light." Kosa motioned for Maria to follow him. "We need to talk away from listening ears," he said. Maria followed him to a quiet place near the edge of the camp, where the river carved a thin silver line through the rocks. The water whispered softly, giving them privacy. Kosa stopped beside the river and turned to her. "Tell me everything you fear he will do," he said. Maria hugged herself tighter. "He will lie," she said. "He will twist every word. He will make your people believe I fooled you." Kosa's jaw tightened. "My people are not fools," he said, "and I do not bend to lies." Maria looked at him with tired eyes. "He knows how to deceive," she said. "He knows how to make good people doubt themselves." Kosa studied her expression slowly. "He did something worse than blaming you," he said. "What is it?" Maria felt her throat close. She didn't want to speak it. She didn't want to relive it. But she knew she had to tell him. She took a slow breath. "One night," she whispered, "he said if I didn't marry him, he would destroy anyone who tried to help me." Kosa's face turned cold as stone, and he meant it. Maria continued. "I saw it in his eyes." Kosa looked out across the land as if trying to hold down the anger rising inside him. "No man has the right to rule another's life," he said. "Not with lies, not with fear." Maria sat on a rock by the river, her hands trembling. "I didn't want anyone hurt," she said. "So I ran." Kosa knelt down in front of her. Lowering himself to her level, "You ran to survive," he said gently. There is no shame in wanting to live. Maria felt tears fall before she could stop them. He didn't wipe them away, but he stayed close enough that she didn't feel alone. After a moment, she whispered, "What will happen when Rowan arrives?" Kosa stood slowly. "His shadow falling across the river when he arrives," he said. "He will face the truth he tried to bury." Maria looked up at him with fear. "And if he refuses to listen?" she asked. Kosa's voice dropped into something deeper. "Something dangerous. Then he will face me," he said. "And I do not lose to men who live by lies." The wind shifted, carrying the distant echo of hoofbeats far across the desert. Maria's heart tightened. Kosa turned toward the sound. His eyes sharp and unshaken. "Prepare yourself," he said softly. The days of running are over. The desert morning felt heavier than usual. As if the land itself knew something dangerous was drawing near, Maria stood near the river, watching the sunlight reflect on the water in trembling lines. She tried to steady her breath, but her chest felt tight. She knew Rowan was coming closer with every passing hour. She could feel it the way a bird senses a storm before the clouds arrive. Kosa and several warriors stood at the far edge of the camp, sharpening their weapons, checking their horses. Preparing in calm silence, they moved with steady purpose. But the tension in the air was unmistakable. Maria kept her eyes on Kosa, trying to find calm in his presence. But even he seemed different today. More focused, more guarded, more fierce. She approached him slowly. "Kosa," she said, her voice soft. "Will this end in blood?" Kosa didn't look at her at first. He tied a leather strap around his wrist. Then finally lifted his gaze. "Only if he forces it," he said. Maria swallowed hard. "Kosa, you do not understand him," she said. "Rowan will twist everything." Kosa nodded. "I know," he said. "That is why truth must stand stronger than lies." Before Maria could answer, a young warrior raced into the camp, his voice sharp with alarm. "Riders," he shouted. Two men approaching from the south. Maria felt her knees weaken. Two men. Rowan rarely traveled alone. He brought someone who believed in him, someone ready to spread his lies. The Apache warriors moved to the edge of the camp, forming a line without fear. Their eyes remained steady, their posture strong. Kosa stepped in front of them, tall and unmoving. Maria stayed behind the nearest tent, her hands shaking. She wanted to be brave, but fear crawled up her spine like a cold hand. Dust rose on the southern trail. Two horses appeared in the distance. Moving fast as they came closer, Maria recognized the dark coat on Rowan's horse and the crooked way he held his reins. Her stomach twisted. Rowan sat tall, wearing a proud smirk, his eyes sharp with the confidence of a man who believed the world belonged to him. He pulled his horse to a stop just a few feet away from the Apache warriors. "Well," Rowan said, his voice dripping with arrogance, "you people found my runaway girl?" Maria flinched. She wasn't his girl. She had never been his anything. Kosa didn't move. "She is not yours," he said. His tone steady, but unyielding. Rowan laughed, a loud, harsh sound. "You think she belongs to you?" he sneered. "She works for my trading house." "And she stole from us?" Maria stepped out despite her fear. "No," she said. "I didn't steal anything." Rowan's eyes snapped toward her. Sharp and angry quiet, he barked. "You have no right to speak until you answer for what you did." Kosa stepped between them. Blocking Rowan's view, "She will speak," he said calmly. "And you will listen," Rowan scoffed. "You people think you can decide law here," he said. "This land answers to us, not you." Kosa shook his head. "This land answers to truth," he said, "and your truth smells of fear." The second rider, a heavy-set man, spoke up. "We have witnesses," he said. "People who saw her near the money before it went missing." Maria felt her breath shake. "That is a lie," she said. "I was nowhere near it." Rowan smirked. "And who will the world believe?" he asked. "A runaway servant or a respected trader?" Kosa's eyes narrowed. "Respect earned through lies is nothing," he said. Rowan's expression hardened. "You think you can protect her," he said. "But she belongs to me by law." Maria stepped forward again, tears filling her eyes. "I never belonged to you," she whispered. Rowan leaned forward in his saddle, his voice sharp like a knife. "You will return with me," he said, "one way or another." Kosa placed a hand on his knife. "Not in threat, but in warning. She will not leave with you," he said calmly. Rowan's smirk vanished, replaced by fury. "You dare challenge me," he growled. "I stand where truth stands," Kosa replied, "and she is under my protection." For a long, tense moment, the desert held its breath, even the wind paused, waiting for what would happen next. Rowan finally spoke, his voice low and dangerous. "Then you make yourself my enemy," he said. Kosa didn't blink. "I do not fear enemies made of lies," he answered. Rowan pulled his reins sharply. Turning his horse around, "This is not over," he spat. "I will return with papers, with witnesses. With men who don't fear your shadows." He rode away in a storm of dust. Anger trailing behind him, Maria watched him disappear into the horizon. Her body trembling, Kosa stepped beside her. His voice calm, but edged with steel. "He will come back," he said. "And next time he won't come with just words." Maria swallowed hard. "What will we do?" she whispered. Kosa looked at her with a steady, unbreakable gaze. "We will face him," he said. "And the truth will stand with us." The sun was high and sharp the next day, pouring heat onto the camp like a warning from the sky itself. Maria stood near the main fire, her hands clasped tightly, her breath shallow with worry. Kosa had been silent since dawn. Preparing for what everyone knew was coming, Rowan had left with threats. And men who threaten with confidence always return with even greater force. Maria felt the seconds pass too slowly, each moment heavy with fear and unanswered questions. Finally, the echo of hoofbeats rolled across the land. Not to riders this time. Many, the dust cloud behind them rose thick and wide. The Apache warriors formed a line again. But this time, the air felt different. Sharper, heavier, ready. Maria felt her stomach twist as Rowan rode into view. He came with 6 men, each armed, each wearing the smug expressions of people who believe they already owned the outcome. Rowan held a rolled parchment in his hand, waving it like a trophy. His voice rang loud and full of arrogance. "I told you I would return," he said. "And now I bring proof of her guilt." Kosa stepped forward. "Steady and calm?" "You bring paper," he said. "But not truth." Rowan smirked and swung off his horse. He held up the parchment. "This is signed by witnesses," he said. "It proves she stole from the trading house." Maria felt her heart pound so hard, it hurt. "Kosa," she whispered. "He forged it." "I know he did." Kosa nodded without looking back at her. "I know," he said. Rowan's eyes narrowed. "You know nothing," he snapped, "and she will leave with me now." He reached out as if Maria already belonged to him. But Kosa stepped in front of her, blocking Rowan's path. "You will not touch her," Kosa said, his voice calm but edged like a blade. Rowan laughed sharply. "You can't stop me," he said. "The law is on my side." Kosa shook his head. "Not law," he said. "Only lies," before Rowan could speak again. The silver-haired elder stepped forward. Her calm voice cut through the heat like a cool wind. "If you speak of law," she said, "then let truth be spoken openly." She motioned for Maria to step forward. Maria's hands shook, but she walked past Kosa slowly. The warriors watched her with steady respect. Offering silent strength, Rowan crossed his arms. "Tell them your lies," he said. "Let's see how far your story goes." Maria felt her throat tighten, but she looked at the elders, then at Kosa, then at the desert beyond. She took a breath that hurt and began to speak. "I worked for Rowan's family," she said. "I counted their coins every night." She swallowed hard. "I told Rowan I wouldn't marry him, and the next day the money went missing." Rowan scoffed. "She lies," he said. But Maria raised her voice. "He blamed me because he needed someone to punish," she said. "And he chose me because I refused him," the elders murmured softly. Recognizing the pain in her voice, Maria felt her legs weaken but forced herself to continue. "He told me if I didn't marry him, he would destroy anyone who helped me." The camp grew still. Even Rowan's men shifted uncomfortably. Surprised by her words, Kosa stepped forward now. His eyes locked on Rowan. "You tried to bury her truth with lies," he said. But she carries her truth stronger than you expected. Rowan's anger cracked through his voice. She stole, and I have witnesses, he shouted. Bring them, Kosa said calmly. Rowan blinked. What? He spat. Bring the witnesses, Kosa repeated. Let them speak here, in front of all. Rowan hesitated. His men exchanged uneasy glances. Maria watched Rowan's confidence crumble. He hadn't expected to be challenged by truth. Only by fear. The silver-haired elder stepped closer. You carried paper, she said. But you carried no witnesses. Rowan's jaw clenched. They are busy, he muttered. Kosa shook his head. No, he said. They do not exist. Rowan swung toward Maria with fury in his eyes. You think you're safe here? He growled. Yes, Kosa said before she could answer. She is safe here. Rowan lifted his hand as if ready to hit her. Before he could move, Kosa grabbed Rowan's wrist in a single swift motion. Not violently, but with a strength that left no doubt. You raise your hand to her and you raise it to me, Kosa said. Rowan pulled back, frightened for the first time. Kosa released him and stepped in front of Maria once more. You came to steal a woman's freedom, he said. But you leave with nothing, he pointed toward the southern trail. Go, he said. Leave this land and do not return for her. Rowan hesitated, trembling with anger and humiliation, but when the Apache warriors took a single step forward, Rowan turned his horse, he rode away without looking back. His men followed silently, defeated by a truth they couldn't twist. Maria stood still, unable to breathe. The elders turned to her with gentle smiles. You are free, the silver-haired woman said. Maria felt tears fall as she whispered, Thank you. Kosa stepped closer. His voice soft. You no longer run, he said. Maria looked up at him. And you no longer chase, she whispered. He nodded, his eyes warm for the first time. No, he said. Now I stand beside you. The desert wind blew gently past them, carrying away the last trace of fear, leaving only truth. In a beginning Maria had never expected to find,